Hey, what's going on, everybody? With this video, my intent is to address some of the issues I was having with Call of Duty Warzone lag and how to address those issues. Hopefully by the end of the video, there will be enough steps that we have implemented that will fix your lag as well. Alright, so starting off, we're going to go over some setting changes that I made. Honestly, I don't necessarily know that it helped with lag, but it definitely helped with getting in and out of the game quickly. And I'm sure without the extra background noise that you have with Activision, it probably does help the lag as well. So, alright, first, we're going to click this Blizzard icon in the top left corner. We're going to go down to Settings. And you are going to make sure that when I launch a game, you want to exit Battle.net completely. You don't want that running in the background. You really can't tell a difference. So make sure you click that and exit Battle.net as well. If you have an apply button down here, click apply and then done. Alright, next we're going to go into options, show and explore, double click Call of Duty, scroll down to the launcher, right click launcher, properties. You're going to go over to compatibility, and you're going to make sure that disable full screen optimizations and run this program as an administrator are both checked. You're then going to go into the change high DPI settings and override high DPI scaling behavior there at the bottom. Check that as well, click apply, OK. You're then going to do the same thing with Modern Warfare, properties, right click, compatibility, make sure these two are checked, change high DPI settings, and override. Check, click OK, apply, and OK. Alright, we're going to close out of this, and last but not least, we are going to make sure that our region is correctly selected for, what the closest region you are. So if you're in Europe, click Europe. Moving forward, we're going to change some power options. So this entire time, my internet had been cutting out intermittently. I don't know why it only became noticeable in the past 2 or 3 weeks that I've been playing Warzone and not my entire span. But over those past 2 or 3 weeks, I've definitely noticed a change in my internet dropping. So, I had to do a little research to figure out what the problem was, and that's where I had learned it was the power settings. So what we're first going to do is move down to this bottom tab. We're going to left click, and go into our internet by left clicking our current connection. We're going to then click on change adapter options. Here are your networks that we're dealing with. I may connect to Wi-Fi, so I'm going to change this as well as the Ethernet, which I'm currently connected to. So first, we're going to right-click Ethernet, left-click Properties, and then we're going to click Configure. So first, we want to go over to Power Management, and we are going to uncheck this box, allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. Somewhere at Microsoft, they had thought it was a good idea to turn off your internet intermittently to save power. It really doesn't make sense, especially if you're playing a game like Call of Duty where milliseconds can get you killed. So make sure that's unchecked and click apply and OK. If it kicked you out of the screen, just go back in, properties. We're going to click the same thing again, configure. And we're going to go over to advanced. And right here, we want to check energy efficient Ethernet, and we want to disable it. Same concept. Somebody at Microsoft thought this was a great idea. No, it's terrible. So disable this, click apply, OK. And then one last time, we are going to come into this, click properties, click configure, and we are going to check the driver. So right here, we're going to click Update Driver, search automatically for updated driver software, and just make sure our drivers for our internet are good as well. Initially, mine weren't, so after updating them, I don't necessarily know that it fixed the lag issues, but the fact that I don't have any lag issues after completing all these steps, something clearly worked, and that's why it's important to follow them. Alright, so it's saying I've got the best driver, so we're good there. We're going to click Close, and we're going to close out of this. Next, we're going to go over to Wi-Fi and do it there as well. Properties, Configure. We're going to go over to Power Management and click or uncheck Allow the computer to turn off the device to save power. Click Apply, OK. You can see in the other tab here that it doesn't have the same energy efficient thing. So I don't think we have to mess with that. We can also, again, check for the drivers, update the driver if you need to, search, apply if necessary, and then click OK. So hopefully that'll stop the intermittency of your internet cutting out, not just necessarily in Warzone, but in every other game you play that requires a fast connection. And yeah, as I said, I really can't explain why just in the past 2 or 3 weeks this started to become an issue for Warzone, but the important thing is we got it fixed now. Now we're getting ready to start port forwarding. It will allow us to connect directly to the best Warzone servers. In order to do this, though, we have to first set up a static IP. What a static IP does is it just keeps your current IP address the same rather than changing every single time. And so when we get to the port forwarding phase, we don't want it to keep changing, otherwise we're just going to have to keep changing our IPv4 address. So the static IP just kind of keeps it the same. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and if after this it still doesn't work for you, you can go search for some other videos on the internet as well to try to get a better understanding if I don't do a good enough job explaining it here. So we're first going to go on to our internet access, just like the last steps. Left click, go into our change adapter options yet again. We're going to right click our Ethernet properties, and we are going to scroll now down to IPv4, click properties. Alright, so I'm going to guess if you've never done this before, your current thing is just at obtain an IP address automatically. You don't want this. We want to keep it static, so we're going to click the use the following IP address. So in order to get your current IP address, we're going to go down to our search function here, and we're going to type in CMD, and that's for command prompt. So you're going to click that, and we're going to type in ipconfig, and it will tell us our current IPv4 address as well as our subnet mask. So if we move this over, you can see right here where these get plugged into, and then the default gateway as well. So it's to my understanding that the IP address should be within the realm of your router, but not necessarily the same number as this. So honestly, I don't know why I have this exact same number. Realistically, I should probably have changed this to a 2, or 100 rather than a 101 like this. And once you type this information in, it's going to do the subnet mask automatically. If it doesn't, you can just type that in, and then you're going to use the default gateway number here. And so then we're going to scroll or look down, use the following DNS server addresses. These are just public DNS servers. I'm not tech savvy enough to tell you how this is better, but you know, after having learned some stuff online, it does seem to help with at least the lag. So I typed in 1.1.1.1 and then the alternate being the 1.0.0.1. Then you're just going to click the apply and the OK. So yeah, I mean, just look. Now that we have the static IP address completed, we are going to do port forwarding. So first we need to open up our internet tab and we need to get into our modem router. Mine are connected, so it's a 2-in-1 combination. And in order to do that, we are going to look on the side of our modem and router. It should tell you what the address is to get into that. Usually it's a number like 192.168. You can see there, .0.1. Every router is different. So if it doesn't have it on the side, you can probably Google what that number is, and it'll tell you, as well as the default. So most of the defaults are usually admin as a password and username, or maybe admin and password. So you can try a couple of things to get into that router. So, you know, type those numbers in. We're going to click, and we can see here I've now gotten into the access page for my router cable modem. We are going to click log in. All right, so we are currently in the router. You're going to click on, you know, whatever necessary tab you need to find the port forwarding. Clicking on these tabs isn't going to hurt anything. Just make sure you don't make any changes and then apply them unless, you know, you plan to keep them. So mine, let's see, was it in basic? No, so it's not in basic. We're going to go over to advanced, and instead of port forwarding, it just tells me forwarding. So right here, I'm going to click forwarding. All right, so once we're here, you won't have all of this set up unless you've already done it like I have. We are going to click create IPv4, and this will allow us to get to those Call of Duty ports. And where these numbers are coming from are just right on the internet. We can actually search it. So we are going to search Call of Duty Warzone ports, or port forwarding right here. And right here on Activision's website, it will actually give us a list of the ports for their game. So right here, Call of Duty, we want Modern Warfare. And so depending on if you're on PC, PlayStation, Xbox One, these are the ports over here. You will need to put in these numbers into that port forwarding over here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get our local IP. So we had learned that our static IP, so that's your static IP number right there. And currently my static IP is set up as the 192.168.0.101. If you had forgotten, you know, you can go back to that command prompt, cmd IP config, and you can just look right here what it is. So you can honestly just highlight that, Control C, which is copy, and then Control V for paste. So there's your local IP. Now the start port, the first one, is going to be 3074. So we're going to type that in, 3074. End port will be the same for this one, as well as the external state port, 3074. And that will autofill. So as we can see, it's actually both TCP ports and UDP ports for both of them right here. So instead of just having it be for TCP or UDP, we want to click both. Description, I named it Warzone, and we want to make sure to enable it, and then click apply. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it here. And that's honestly the first step to doing all that. So you got to go through these numbers. So for the next one, let's see. So you go through the same steps. So if you click apply, it'll probably bring you up to another blank page here. So let me just delete all this. All right, so again, you're going to click you're going to use your static IP in that column there. The local start port is going to be 27014. All right, so I've already typed it in before, so there it is. But the end port is going to be right here, the 27050. So type that number in. The external start port, again, going to be the 27014. And then this will autofill to that local end port. And this is a TCP port because this isn't over at the UDP section. So TCP, description, Warzone 2, enable, on, click apply. And then you're going to do those steps for the following ports as well. So since you've already completed your TCP ports, you're going to now want to do that for the UDP ports. We've already got the 3074, so now we're going to need the 3478, which is going to look similar to how we had the 3074. So this would be, what was it called? 3478, which was that one. That would be 3478. Again, 3478. This is a UDP. Enable it, apply on, change the description if you have one available, and yeah, easy as that. So again, you're just going to go through those numbers just like I had, and your list will look like this down here. So I'll give you a moment to take a look at that, and yeah, you can plug them in yourself. So it's a pretty easy step, but it really does make a difference. As I said, I've reduced my lag to absolutely nothing. All right, so now we're going to make sure that our drivers are currently up to date for NVIDIA GeForce Experience. This will cause you lag. It won't be associated with your internet or internet service provider, but I guess your ability to render the stuff within the game. So it's pretty easy. All you really need to do is come down to the search function here. You can type in GeForce Experience as shown, or NVIDIA GeForce. If you type in NVIDIA, the control panel might show up instead, so it's a little confusing. You just want to make sure you get the GeForce opposed to the control panel. So once you got that open up, your screen will look like something similar to this. You can click home. It'll probably show you your games. If not, you can. They have like an optimization, so you can optimize your games to the best quality for your system according to NVIDIA's recommendations. I'd honestly recommend that you do it. It does. Honestly, it really helps. Makes the games look great and run smoothly. So you'll want to click on drivers on that tab there, and then you're going to make sure that you click check for updates. It will tell you if you need a new driver or whether or not you're good. So it's an easy step, but very important. Don't let it go unchecked, that's for sure, because one of the reasons I was getting lag was they had released a new driver for NVIDIA, and it took me a good solid week before I downloaded it, not realizing that this was a part of my issues regarding the lag. So make sure you keep up to date on your software. As I had mentioned earlier, one thing you're probably going to want to also do is go into that NVIDIA control panel. So here, as you can see, you got the two different options. This time we're not going to go into GeForce Experience, but NVIDIA control panel. And we're going to make sure that the options we have are the best for our system. So for some reason, when I had first got this computer, the screen refresh rate, even though I have a 240 hertz monitor, it had something else selected. So yeah, as far as frames per second go, you want to have the best one selected that your monitor is capable of. So for mine, 240 hertz, just make sure that's selected. And you can select whichever one of these you want as well. Obviously, mine's going to be the top of the line, so I selected that. And I don't necessarily know that it helps, but I had went down, and instead of using the video player settings that had been checked, I decided I'd click with the NVIDIA settings instead, and the same for the image settings here. At this time, we're finally going to go into the game itself. We're going to click play, and now we're going to click options. So a couple things here. First, I had noticed that when I first get into the game, I have no idea why my guys are not showing up, but when you first get into the game, I had noticed that it kind of looks grainy. It's almost as if my settings are reverting itself. So a quick fix that I had found for that is you can go into your options and you're going to go over to your graphics. This used to be a lot different. I don't know if the sheer size of Season 5 had changed it from the max being way up here. But yeah, it originally, I used to have it up here, now it's down here. I don't know, maybe it's because I've installed a bunch of things on my computer since. I'll have to check it out and play with my own settings or see if this is causing me an issue. But moving forward, as I was saying, I had noticed that it kind of looks grainy as far as, yeah, I don't know. It just looks grainy to me. It definitely looks different. It doesn't look as crisp. So if I change this down to 144 instead of my 240, and then I just click apply, it just now looks so much more fresh than it did so previously, and then I just reverted back to the 240. As I said, I'm not sure if for some reason Call of Duty just isn't remembering certain settings, but it's definitely noteworthy and probably something you want to do once you get in game before you start playing. So these are the settings I had pulled off from NVIDIA's website, a page that they had. I had tried a couple of things off YouTube, other user suggestions, and they didn't really work for me. So once I had found this on the internet, it really did work. So I'm just going to give you a second to look at these settings. I'll scroll down, moving slowly. All right, as I said, feel free to try them out. Obviously, it's going to be personal preference at the end of the day. I used to have this number lower, but your image quality kind of goes pretty bad if it gets way too low. So, although you do increase your frames per second, you just got to put it at what you feel comfortable playing with. And so 90 felt the best for me, and these settings don't seem to impact gameplay at all. So, if you want to use these settings, that's great. Otherwise, yeah, just look around. So now that we've done that, I want to show you guys. Oh, right here. So NAT type. This being open means that you are directly port forwarding to the Warzone servers. Previously, or if you haven't yet changed your or done port forwarding, it will say NAT type moderate, which means you're just automatically finding servers that it believes are best for you. And that's not necessarily the way to go because you might get stuck on some really crappy servers. So it's to my understanding that port forwarding kind of resolves a lot of server issues. So that's definitely a benefit to that. So yeah, anyways, now that we're done with the settings, again, I'm probably going to have to look at my settings as well because this used to be way higher. I don't know why it's changed so much since the start of Season 5. But we're going to back out of this. And now, and honestly, you can tell at the home screen, or maybe it's just my personal opinion, but it does look much sharper of an image. So speaking of sharpening our image, all right, so we're going to click Windows Alt Z, which is going to set up our Windows GeForce overlays, or open it up for us. And we are going to then move to our game filter, and we are going to add a filter to this. You know, you can play around with it, see what works for you, what you like the most. Again, this was something that was recommended from NVIDIA for me, so, you know, I adopted it into my own gameplay and system, and it really does seem to work. I like the way the image looks. So you're going to go over to click 1, you're going to click Add a Filter, you'd scroll down, you got all these different options you're able to put as far as a filter goes. I personally am using the sharpen. I can't do it again. So if you click add filter, just scroll down to sharpen and then click the apply or done. And the game, honestly, to me, just looks so much sharper, so much more crisp, and it's enjoyable to play, and I'm not lagging. So definitely another noteworthy thing that you can do to resolve your lag issues. Last but not least, what had started this whole thing, you know, I was getting lag, so naturally I had blamed my ISP, internet service provider, and I had called them initially and been like, hey, look, you know, I'm getting huge disruptions in my internet as of the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on. They had run some remote testing on my modem and router from their office, and they had said that it looked like I was getting interference in my connection. They had sent out a technician for free. He came to my house and he replaced some of the old wires that were bent, that were just kind of hanging out in the wind, and they were getting interference from the neighborhood. So, you know, obviously that would help with my connection as well. That may not be something that's wrong with your connection, but obviously if you're still getting lag issues and you've already taken all the steps that I've shown you here, then obviously the issue is going to be with either the Call of Duty servers or internet service provider. One way you would be able to distinguish between the two is, you know, if you're playing with friends, you can ask them if they're lagging. If they're not, you know, maybe it's your internet service provider. If all 4 of you or 3, whatever, is lagging, then you know that it's probably the Call of Duty servers. So that's something to think about there. So yeah, you know, the technician, he had replaced those wires. And another thing to note, that my Ethernet cable I was running had actually gone bad as well. So if you're running an old Ethernet cable, it might behoove you to get a new one. You can find them pretty cheap on the internet. The one that I believe runs up to 1,000 megabytes per second download speed is a Cat 5e. You can probably type that easily in Amazon or Google and find out what sort of Ethernet cable you need or would be best for your system. So once you've made those changes, hopefully you will have addressed all of your lag issues within Call of Duty. And yeah, I'm just hoping, I'm just happy that I could help the rest of you. It honestly took me hours just to figure out all of these things on my own, so I wanted to put it in a localized place for the rest of the Warzone players who are currently having issues, because honestly, it is a pretty fun game, assuming you don't run into a bunch of hackers. But yeah, you know, if you enjoyed the video, reach out to me. Honestly, it's my first one ever as far as including voice and editing the whole 9 yards, so if you liked what you saw, I guess you can subscribe. I don't know how many more videos I'll make, to be honest. But if you found the video helpful, make sure you like it, share it with friends, and any others who might be lagging.